I've made over 1,200 pints of ice cream over the last 4 years and have made plenty of mistakes. Today, I'm going to show you the biggest ones so you can avoid them and make creamy, delicious ice cream from day one. Have you ever poured water on cereal or used ketchup as pasta sauce? Yeah. No. Ice cream tastes like ice cream for a reason. It's built on 4 things: dairy, sweetness, an emulsifier, and a stabilizer. So when I build creamy recipes, including the 50 plus I tested for my cookbook Scoopology, I stick to those same building blocks or close substitutes, so after you spin it, it actually tastes like ice cream. For lower calorie pints, that usually means milk, a sugar substitute, egg yolks, and xanthan gum. And I'd avoid bases built around protein shakes, pudding mix, or cottage cheese. Unless you want your pint to taste like a bland protein shake or salty cheese ice cream, which I've covered extensively in another video. So, rule of thumb, if the base ingredient wouldn't make sense in a legit ice cream, it's probably going to be bad in a creamy recipe. Everybody hates that thin ice ring on the side of the pint. I do too, but scraping it down before a respin is a trap because it turns one small problem into an entire pint problem. Here's why. The blade can't really scrape the edge without getting dangerously close to the pint wall. And I'm not trying to eat microplastics every night over a thin layer of ice.
You can't eat plastic.
So people try to fix it by scraping the sides after the first spin, thinking, cool, the respin setting will mix it in. But the respin and mix-in settings don't spin fast enough to crush that ice into cream. They just chop it into smaller pieces. So now instead of one icy ring on the outside that you can avoid, you've got gigantic ice crystals throughout the entire pint. It might look smooth, but it eats gritty. Here's what I do instead. Don't scrape, eat the middle 80% first, and let the sides warm up while you do. By the time you're finishing the pint, that ice ring is basically melted and is way smoother. I know you've seen those commercials, the ones that promise you the world for 2 easy payments of $20. Here's a reminder in case you forgot.
Do you want rock-hard abs, taut-toned muscles without sweating for hours? Well, now you can. Introducing Fast Abs, the no-sweat full-body workout.
Abs without exercise sounds great, but it's always too good to be true. That's exactly why they got sued. Unfortunately, you can't sue content creators who give you recipes that taste like dog water, but you can learn what to look for so you don't waste a pint. If someone posts a one-ingredient recipe like
pour in a protein shake and freeze,
or
just add chocolate milk and you'll get the best chocolate ice cream in the world,
they're full of shit. And if that's the first recipe you try, you'll probably want to return your creamy. And chocolate milk is the perfect example because it's absolute heat straight from the fridge, but fails miserably as ice cream. But why? Temperatures below the freezing point trick your taste buds. When you eat something frozen, your taste buds pick up less sweetness and less flavor. So that insanely good chocolate milk you normally love turns into a bland, watered-down pint once it's frozen and spun. Here's a good rule of thumb. Taste your creamy base before you freeze it. If it tastes too sweet, it'll taste perfect once you turn it into ice cream. Protein powder can be awesome in the creamy, or it can ruin your entire pint. Because if you add it by going off vibes, you don't get ice cream. You get a glorified protein shake. If you're going to use protein powder, follow these 3 rules. 1. Don't overdo it. Most recipes do best with a half scoop to 1 scoop total. More than that, and the flavor starts screaming protein. 2. Watch the type you're using if you're using a lot. If you go past a half scoop, I usually avoid whey casein blends because they can make the texture weirdly thick and gummy and not like real ice cream. 3. And the most important, use one that actually tastes good. You're already fighting that artificial vanilla vibe from the powder itself, and no amount of other ingredients can save a protein powder that tastes like butt chungus.
Butt chungus, an unpleasant buildup of booty cheddar resulting from days of not washing your booty.
If you need a recommendation, I'll link the one that I've used for years in the description. And protein powder isn't the only thing that people add by going off vibes. This next one makes no sense to me. There are so many stabilizers on the market that are cheap and easy to get, but content creators keep copying each other and adding Jell-O pudding mix instead. Here's the problem. It doesn't just stabilize. It adds another artificial flavor you now have to cover up. And when I tested them side by side, pudding mix versus xanthan gum versus guar gum, the pudding mix pint came in dead last every single time. Xanthan gum is my number one stabilizer, and a 1 pound bag will easily last you a year, if not 2. Since I strictly make low-calorie ice cream, you would think that I would always need to use the light ice cream setting, right? Surprisingly, that couldn't be further from the truth. I've created more than 50 low-calorie, high-protein recipes for Scoopology, my creamy cookbook, and out of all the settings I use, light ice cream gets used the least. Because every recipe is unique, when I'm dialing in a new flavor, I'll test it on multiple settings to find the best texture before it earns a spot in the book. Scoopology is the cookbook I built that's helped thousands lose weight and stick to their goals. And the best part, it gets updated with new recipes for free. The link's in the description if you want to check it out. Anyways, the point is, if your recipe is almost perfect, run it on a few different settings before calling it done. You might be surprised which one gives you the best result. And this matters even more because different creamy models use different spin times and spin speeds for the same setting. You would think mixing milk with dry ingredients could be done with a spoon, or if you want to get fancy, a milk frother. I thought the same thing. I used a frother thinking I was playing 4D chess, when all I was really doing was making a ton of foam and leaving half my ingredients not fully dissolved. And you can taste it. Some bites were bland, while others were too sweet. So what's the real solution? An immersion blender. It fully hydrates ingredients, dissolves stabilizers, and mixes the base evenly from top to bottom. This guarantees that every bite of ice cream you take tastes just as good as the last. Have you ever forgotten to add salt to your dinner? You take a bite of a perfectly cooked piece of steak and it tastes like nothing, like you're chewing for no reason. Salt doesn't just make food salty, it unlocks flavor. And I hate adding calories when I don't need to, but in ice cream, a little fat is the same kind of unlock. It brings out flavor, smooths out the texture, and makes the pint feel like real ice cream instead of flavorless frozen yogurt. You don't need a ton either. 2% milk instead of skim or 1 egg yolk can completely change the mouthfeel, texture, and flavor of your cream. If your pint comes out soupy after the first spin, it's not always your recipe. It might be your freezer. I've never seen a single creator talk about this, but it's crucial, and it's literally in the Creamy manual, which most people don't read.
I don't need to read it.
For the best results, your freezer needs to be roughly 9 degrees Fahrenheit to -7 degrees Fahrenheit. And here's the part that kills people. If your freezer is getting opened and closed all day, whether it be by kids, your roommates, or just grabbing meal preps, your freezer warms up and your pint might not actually be frozen solid when you think it is. So if you're getting pints that look frozen but turn soupy after the first spin, that's usually why. My rule: freeze for at least 24 hours before you spin. And for reference, my freezer is set to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. When you get a blizzard from Dairy Queen, you get big chunks of cookie dough or brownies mixed perfectly throughout the whole cup. When I first got my creamy, I thought the mix-in setting would give me the same result. I was wrong. I've tested this so much, sometimes 20 to 30 times for one recipe to hit like the store-bought version. The mix-in setting spins too fast, so the blade completely obliterates most mix-ins. So here are the 2 fixes that instantly upgrade your mix-ins. 1. Keep your mix-ins cold, refrigerated, or frozen, and only take them out right before you add them, meaning you've already made your hole in the pint and it's ready to receive them. 2. Add them off center. Most of the time, center is fine, but if your mix-ins keep getting crushed into dust, make the hole to the side so the blade doesn't bulldoze straight through them on the way down. Do that, and you'll get actual chunks, not crumbs. The problem is, avoiding these 11 mistakes doesn't automatically give you top-tier ice cream. If you want to get to the point where you never buy ice cream again because your pints are that good, you need the professional level tips. The stuff that nobody tells you. So in this video here, I break down everything I learned after 3 years of making ice cream with the Creami and over 1,000 pints tested so you can make perfect ice cream in no time. Until next time, deuces.